my friend. Welcome back to the Composed Artist Podcast. Today, I had a beautiful conversation with my friend and Wedding Painters Blueprint student, member, alum, OG. Her name is Olivia Andruss, and she is a wedding painter in Colorado. She's the sweetest person. She's absolutely a doll. She's a very talented artist, and she has really grown her business in 4 years more quickly, more professionally, and more efficiently than I did in the first 4 years of my business. And she attributes that growth and that trajectory to the Wedding Painter's Blueprint, which is just music to my ears. So today we're going to be talking about her experience as a live wedding painter, her experience within the course, elements of her life and her job as a wife and her mother, and an artist who is running this business, doing the work itself. It was a really, really, really great chat. And I look forward to seeing her in person at the Layover Conference at the end of the month. But without further ado, please welcome Olivia Andruss to the podcast. Welcome to The Composed Artist, the podcast where we explore the intersection of artistry, entrepreneurship, and self-improvement and continue to pursue a more composed life. I'm your host, Stephanie, an artist specializing in live wedding painting, living in the vibrant and soulful city of New Orleans. Over the past decade, my job has taken me all over the world, meeting and creating art in front of thousands of people, and has allowed me to create a colorful life for myself and my family. Now, I help other artists build confidence, develop their techniques, and fall in love with the art of live wedding painting. I invite you to join us for inspiring stories of creative journeys, practical tips for running a successful art business, and honest conversations about the joys and challenges of running a studio and being a parent. This podcast is here to keep you company, keep you entertained, and is full of resources to help you on your journey to create a business that feeds your soul, makes an impact, and is insanely profitable. The Composed Artist is the podcast for the bold, creative, passionate, and genuine artist. Let's get started. I am so excited to chat with you today because we have been friends for years. Like, I've been following you on Instagram for years, and you are a member of my online course. And were you one of the OG members?
I was in your very first class. I think I signed up the day it launched. I was so excited. I was like, yeah, let's give it a go. I mean, I was willing to just, at that time for sure, there was obviously nothing like that. I had been about a year into the industry and I was figuring some things out for myself. And eventually I think I maybe would have gotten there. Certainly not at the rate that the course allowed me to progress at. But yeah, I was so excited to sign up. I was like, yeah, I thought to myself, if this course propels me just even 1 year, if it shaves a year off of the things that I'm having to learn, it'll be worth it. And in reality, it really propelled me probably 2 or 3 years.
That's crazy.
It cut so much time out and so many things that I didn't have to learn the hard way. So it was worth it for sure.
That's excited. And then you were just telling me that you had, how many weddings did you do last year? 42?
I did 42 weddings last year. Yeah.
That's so exciting. Were they all like, did you trudge through them, or do you feel like you looked back on them and you look back on your portfolio and you're like, it was a good year? How do you feel about last year?
It was good. It was my first year painting the whole year in oil paints. The year before that, I switched right halfway through the season, and that kind of threw me. I did a lot of guest illustrations, watercolor guest portraits. I did like 50-50 paintings, watercolor portraits. I hired an employee to help me fulfill all of these watercolor portraits. So she came with me live to more than half of my watercolor events. I had to hire a team for one event. I flew in a girl from Arizona. Like, it was just crazy the way that last year was such a blast for me. I really enjoyed it. I was tired by the end of December.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. Like, I just finally felt like I was was finally doing what I really wanted to do. I had
Yeah.
been in the trenches for the first like 2.5, 3 years of live painting. And then just to finally have like getting up, climbing up over that hill, and then being able to just kind of enjoy working, like just really enjoying my job.
Yeah, like you had the bookings and then you just had to show up and then
Yeah.
do the work.
And I made it to every wedding. I was so nervous every single time. I'm like, oh, what if one of my kids gets sick, or if I'm sick, or but I made it to all 42. I didn't miss one. So that was I've never missed a wedding, but with that many, I was like, the odds are a lot higher that something's going to go wrong, but nothing did. So that's
Ugh, I
good.
know. We take that so seriously, like the importance of being there. That's something that I think that people may not think about. People that are like, "Oh, it must be fun. It's so easy. You just get to go to parties every weekend and blah, 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 and just paint, and like you just get to paint for a living." But there's such a weight of responsibility to actually show up and to keep your commitments and not let a bride down on her wedding day and not be
Mm-hmm.
sick. Like you can't control, like when the pandemic happened and it was kind of like, oh, I really hope I don't get sick like the day before the
Yeah.
wedding.
Yeah.
There's a lot of risk incurred into making a commitment a year out, and so I'm so happy that you didn't you got to make them all.
Yeah. I made them all. And yeah, that was just something that I don't think people really realize is when you have a vendor team that really cares about you, like you've hired the right vendors,
Mm,
your day is very important to them. Like it's really important to me that my brides have the best experience, whether they're getting a painting or watercolor guest portraits or whatever. Like it's just, it's a badge of honor, really, but it's also like just taking your job really seriously and just
and
caring about these people.
yeah, you're very personable and very sweet, and I bet your brides adore you. Very, very easy to recommend. I'll say that.
Oh, thank you
Um,
so much. I have made
so
some friends along the way, so I'm enjoying that.
yeah,
We're
some friends
friends
in the
with,
industry or friends as like artist friends or just wedding industry friends
and my
or both.
brides, like
Oh, the
just
brides.
my couples are still buddies afterwards, and definitely within the industry. I'm
Yeah.
loving the community in the industry is so just priceless. Like the
Mhm.
people and the connections. I think it's fun for people in this industry because we are also niche in the things that we do. That just to have this team of people who really support you and cheer you on, it's
Yeah.
just awesome. Like everybody really wants everyone else to succeed. Like they really do. You said it best in the chorus, like a rising tide lifts all ships. Is that the saying? How's it go?
Yeah.
Raises all
Yeah.
ships.
Yeah.
So I always just thought that that's true. Like if we're all succeeding and we're all doing better, then we'll all have better pricing, better like a little healthy competition. People aren't going to be able to undercut us. We'll keep the value of live painting
Mhm.
high and established. And so, yeah, it's just a fun community.
I couldn't have said it better. I completely agree. I enjoy being a live wedding painter because sure, like you said, healthy competition. There are other painters out there and you are competing for the jobs, you're competing for the work, but you're confident in your painting style and you understand that your painting style is like a thumbprint. It is very uniquely yours, and you can stand when you stand behind that. It's fun to talk about. It's easy to promote. And when somebody says they want something different or they're describing a different style, you know how hard it is to create something that is authentically your style, much less try to mimic another artist style. And we talk about that
Mm-hmm.
in the course too, how it's like, oh my gosh, okay, well, this is an easy no thanks. This is an easy, I don't think we're a good fit. Let me recommend somebody else. Yeah, and then you can recommend your friends. And the best thing is your friends turn around and recommend you. I have a
Mm-hmm.
list of people that I recommend by location. If I can't take a wedding in Denver, you're one of the top people that I recommend in that area. And because it's always great to find someone local and not have to pay those
Yeah.
travel fees. But and then there's like style specific, like what do you like? What are you looking for? And here's a few people that have this really colorful style, very textured style, whatever. And I love the industry, I think as a whole is like that. And artists who don't share that desire to share, I think that they I feel like they may not receive the generosity from other artists. And so they don't want to share. And there's kind of like this sticky, like, I don't want to say selfishness, but I mean, that's not a fun place to be. And it's
Yeah.
scary. It's scary because the fear of losing to your competition is scary, especially as like a solopreneur, somebody doing this, you feel very lonely. And so there's a sense of community. People are recommending each other. And I'm glad that you share that sense of community and that feeling with the
Yeah.
live wedding painting community.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, it's so easy to be so lonely because it's
Mm-hmm.
so niche, but, just, yeah, giving out and receiving, like, it's just a healthy thing. And yeah, standing behind your work is easy when you know that your work doesn't look like anybody else that I might recommend. It's totally different to them. So I have no
Yeah.
problem doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my gosh. And then having recommendations from your clients and we could go on and on.
Yeah.
But I wanted to invite you to share your story. How did you get started as a live wedding painter? What was a little bit of your journey as an artist and maybe a professional artist? And then how'd you get
Mhm.
started as a live wedding painter?
I am finding that my story is very similar to a lot of other painters. I have parents with very good intentions that sent me in the safe route. I pursued a medical degree. I worked in a medical office, working on eyes for 5 years. I did great in my office. I really enjoyed it. Then the COVID happened, and I got pregnant with my first kiddo and worked through that pregnancy. But then when I had him in April of 2021, I ended up just stopping working. I didn't really get laid off. It was kind of like a mutual, like, I'm really not enjoying this. I'm not really giving you my all. They kind of needed somebody more regular anyway. And so I stopped. I was a stay-at-home mom from April, and then by October I was going crazy. I was like, I love this baby to death, but I'm like, I have to do something else. Like, I am going to lose my mind. And so, of course, I had a friend in California who was a wedding photographer, and she posted on her story one day that there was a live painter, and I'd never seen them before. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. I was like, wow, I think I could do that. Like, I've always been art inclined. I wanted to be an animator. That's actually like what I was going to pursue before I went into the medical degree. And I gave it a little bit of a go, but then I didn't really like being on the computer quite so much. So I shelved that. But anyway, so I had some friends getting married and just approached them, and it was kind of mutual, like, hey, can I give this a go? And they're like, we'd love that. Like, that would be so cool. I think that they might have had one already booked, but she couldn't come. She was from the East Coast or something with COVID happened. So they lost one. And I was like, I'll do it. Like, I'll just give it a go. No promises, but, I'll just give
Yeah.
it a go. And just had the best time. And of course, in Colorado, it was gorgeous. Like, we were up in Lyons, which is between Denver and Estes Park. So beautiful. It's in October, fall,
Oh my
like
God.
a dream. It was fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
of course. And then all my friends were there at that wedding, and which was nice. It can be a little intimidating when your friends are watching you, but then everyone was like, just cheering me on and did good. So I loved it. At the end of that day, I was like, yes, I totally want to do this. I got in contact with a venue that was down the street, like a mile from my house. And between contacting them and this last wedding, I painted 3 sample sizes of the 3 size canvases that I knew that I was going to offer people. I just did it based off photos, whatever. So I presented these 3 different sizes of packages to this venue that's close by. And I'm like, do you have 3 brides that would let me practice one of each size of these canvases?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, yes, we have these brides who've had their weddings rescheduled 3 or 4 times because of COVID. Like, it would be a really nice gift to them. They're really cool. Just come give it a go. And so because it was right by my house and there's like a Michael's next door,
Yeah.
I was like, my very first wedding, I got there and I'm like, oh, I don't have this. I got to go home. And so I went home and I got it and I came back and then I was like, oh, I don't have this. I got to go to Michael's and I got to get that. So they were really flexible and I just stayed there and I kind of hid in the corner all night long and I just worked on them and took them home and finished them there. And then that venue really took me under their wing. They were so sweet to me. And they just started offering my services with every bride that would come through. I was just a preferred vendor and I didn't even know it. And so they were offering, like, I gave them one of my sample pieces and it was out. And they booked me basically all of my weddings, my very first
Wow.
year up until coming to the Wedding Painter's Blueprint. So I was super lucky. Like, they were basically feeding me work. And because it was so close, I didn't feel like the pressure of like traveling super far and not having anything. It was a really nice, like, easy um, kind of thing. And then I started doing like a couple showcases, like bridal expos,
Mm-hmm.
getting a little bit bigger, booking a little bit more. And then in the spring of 2022, yeah, spring of 2022, I came across the Wedding Painter's Blueprint. Like I said earlier, I was like, I'm getting some traction. I'm doing pretty well. I'll probably maybe be able to kind of figure this out, but like it would be really helpful if I didn't have to do it totally on my own. There were two other wedding painters that I knew of here in Colorado, but they lived in very far away from me, and they were both really well established, and I didn't really want to bother them. And so I'm like, I can try and figure this out on my own. So signed up for the course, and there were so many things in there that I would have never thought of, and I didn't have to get exposed to them
Mm.
because I was already like covered by it. I never have had anybody not make a payment. Every single painting's always been paid for on time. If someone's been not happy with their painting, I can go back to my contract and be like, this is the contract that we signed, and so I mean, I've just been protected from so much, like so many experiences I never had to firsthand experience because I just was because you went through it.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. And so, yeah, that's basically how I got like first started. And then my very first year, I combed through the blueprint with a fine tooth comb. I just literally did every single thing just over and over and over so thoroughly. I had a really good critique group during that first year and implemented everything: contracts, honeybook, um, website, SEO, like everything. And then the next year rolled around and you had some new features. We had a group critique, and some industry insights, Tuesdays with Kat, all that fun stuff. And so I was like, I really want to be fully present for those things. So I'm going to go through the course on my own again before the course starts. So about this time last year, again, I took myself through all of the modules, went through my contracts, went through my website, just again, fine tooth combed through everything. Then when the course started, I was able to just sit and listen, and a whole new wave of incredibly talented artists, all these people learning, asking really good questions, new critique. It was like a fresh course again, like a new experience. And I learned a lot just from listening, sitting back and listening just the second time. And so, I mean, I'm sure that I'm so excited for round 3. I'm about to do it again. I should probably go through all my stuff again and then be able to sit back and relax.
Hey, live wedding painters. Have you taken a minute to evaluate your business yet? Have you started to think about next year yet? As this year comes to a close, it's important for each of us to take a moment and reflect. Did you hit the goals you set for yourself? Did you set goals at the beginning of the year at all? Was there any clarity in your vision for your creative business? Or have you just been hanging on for the ride? Now, Imagine starting next year with a clear plan, a year where you're building a stellar portfolio and booking dream weddings, showing up with confidence, and taking bold steps toward your career goals. That's exactly what my goal setting workbook is here to help you achieve. Created for the members of my online course, The Wedding Painter's Blueprint, the Goal Setting Workbook is more than just a place to jot down ideas. It is your roadmap to success for the year ahead. With guided evaluations, you'll identify your unique personal and professional challenges. You'll address physical and psychological elements that might be holding you back. And you will set clear, achievable goals and map out the steps to reach them so you can turn your vision into reality. This workbook is free to download and print so you can physically write down your goals. It includes tools to help you track your growth and adjust as needed, and will actually help you take vague dreams and turn them into concrete plans, and turn those plans into real success. Next year doesn't have to feel uncertain. The Goal Setting Workbook will help you take charge of your career and step into the new year with purpose and direction. Click the link in the show notes to download your free version of my goal setting workbook and kick 2025 off with clarity.
I mean, how are you feeling about the course starting up?
Oh, I'm stoked. I'm so excited. Like this is you and I are sitting down having the first conversation that I'm sharing about, really sharing information about the course on the podcast. I have been talking about live wedding painting and talking with friends, and we're talking about the job and what it's like. And, I have this course and this will be the third year. And you mentioned like updates the second time around. I am adding more this year. And I switched to oil. So when I created the course, I was using acrylics. And so there's a lot of information about like painting with acrylics and style. Like it's just instruction using acrylics, but I used Golden Open Brand, which is a slow drying acrylic. And the way that I was painting was this in a similar process to the way that I paint with oils, less layering, more, pre-construction of the composition so that you're just kind of like filling in, and it's just more intentional. And
Mhm.
so now that I use oils, like we're going to be talking more about how to implement the strategies in the instruction with oils, and I'll be updating the material list. But for oils, there's just a lot more and then I'm still improving as an oil painter. And so I really want to master this medium and then add more instructional videos. So that would maybe next year, but we're going to be my favorite part of the course is the live elements, the live Q&As that we have every week, the critiques, the small group meetings, like meeting up in person regularly, talking with people who are in the same boat, having the same shared experiences. I look forward to this every year. It's a lot of time. It is my priority for the first 6 months of every year. And my husband knows. I'm like, we're starting the course. He's like, all right, bye. See you in 6 months. But it is so fulfilling for me. And I think based on feedback and based on the success that I'm seeing in the students, I'm stoked. I can't wait. I just love it. It's a great community and a great place for us to share things that we're learning and ways that we can help each other improve. That's how I feel about it. Thanks for asking.
I love it. I love to hear your why and your passion and just, I mean, it just shines. It shines through, and it helps because it's contagious. Like, you can't help but feel super excited about the course and super excited about your community. And then the Facebook groups, like, for each year. And then I'm still so close with all of the students that went through it the first year with me. Like, they are the people that I'll text or call, or I'll stalk their Instagram when I can't figure out how my composition is not lining up. I'm like, let me look at Gina's inside like paintings real quick because I'm stumped, or like it's just my favorite thing, like to just feel comfortable with these people and they were learning alongside you. It's a real sense of like, it's a real community booster for sure.
Oh
So
my gosh. I love it. And then y'all are, yes, you're members and you can come back every year, like you have lifetime access and all that. But then after, I guess you've learned everything I can teach you, then you go out and now y'all are colleagues. Like we're all colleagues in this industry now. And I just want to kind of like boost you up so that we can be comparable colleagues, and then we can raise each other higher. Like I want to see that. I want to see every student that comes through become a better, faster, more confident, more successful artist than I am. That's the goal. I don't want to stay above everybody. I'm not trying to stay, like, I want to see everybody get better than me. That would be my dream. Like, I would love that. I want everybody. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about teaching and seeing all of my little students come through and then book all their weddings and book 42 weddings in a year. It literally makes me cry.
Oh,
It's wonderful.
yeah.
And
Well,
you're
you're
one of my OGs. I love it.
yeah, it's awesome. I mean, well, okay, so it's so funny. We were at a wedding and I had my employee with me. And this girl who was running the photo booth, she was totally getting harassed by a drunken guest. And so
Oh.
she like kept kind of like hiding with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, girl, where's your 3-strike policy in your contract? And she's like, what's that? And I'm like, well, I'm like, 1, you let somebody know what's going on. And 2, the guest needs to be removed. And then if it happens a 3rd time, you remove yourself, like regardless of what's going on. Like this guy was totally giving her a hard time. And I'm like, she's like, she's an independent photo booth girl. And she's like, I'm gonna have to put that in my contract when I get home.
Mm-hmm.
So we're driving on the way home and my employee's like, how'd you know? Like, how'd you ever know to put a 3? Did that happen to you? Did you put a 3-strike policy in your contract? And I was like, no, I've never had that problem, but it is in my contract. And I'm like, and it's been a total protection for me because I never had to actually experience that. But I have this ironclad contract. So I was like, I'm like, I didn't know that on my own. Like Stephanie taught me how to do that. So
I hope that never happens to you. That's
I
miserable.
know, poor girl. I just felt so bad for her. But no, that's never, thankfully I've had always very pleasant experiences. But for the ones that
Awesome.
don't, like you want to have that protection.
Yeah. And the confidence to, like, I don't know, when you're standing there and it's like nothing like this has ever happened to you before, and then you're uncomfortable, and then you're afraid, and then you're afraid for your reputation. Like, because what if you leave? Like, you're afraid for your safety, and then you want to leave, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
like, but if I leave, that may, that may ruin my reputation, because it's just like it's such a hard corner to be backed into, and yeah, that's things like that over the course of 10 years. I'm like, going in the contract. That's not happening
Yeah.
again, And so
Mm-hmm.
now I want to tell everybody and take them by the shoulders and say, your contract needs to be 10 pages. It needs to
Yeah.
include, like, all of these considerations. And like you said, like, it's never happened to you. You've never had to look back at it. But as long as, like, the client knows, like, your boundaries, and you're like, and then you can walk into the venue and you're like, I got this. I got this. Good things are going to happen. And if they don't, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's just priceless to have the confidence. Like if you're feeling nervous walking in, it will show in
Mhm.
the painting. And the nerves never really get better, but maybe you just get a little bit better at handling them.
Yeah.
Um, but to have a good like backing in your corner, then it's just one less thing you have to worry about. It's like, okay, now I can just focus on this painting.
Yeah. So speaking of nerves, how how has that changed for you? So like, now when you walk into a wedding venue now, what's the level of nerves like? And then, like you said, how you handle it. How is that different now than when you started?
Yeah, great question. I'm still nervous, and I think it's good to be nervous because you really care about these people. Like, this is a family heirloom. They're spending a pretty penny on it. And you want it to be a fun experience for them to watch, and you want it to be something that they're going to love. And so, I mean, I definitely still feel nervous. But finding my style, finding my ideal clients has helped so much. These are people who want me to be there based on my style, based on the conversations that we've had. I have a game plan, they have an expectation. We're kind of all on the same page. It makes it so much more enjoyable. I feel so much more confident. Like, I'm 4 years into this. I'm still nervous, but I'm excited nervous. Like, oh, I can't wait to see what this painting looks like. When people come up and they're like, can't wait to see what it'll be like at the end. I'm like, you know what? Me too.
Me
I
too.
can't wait to see what this looks like at the end either.
I
Like,
say the same thing.
that is funny. Yeah, I'm just like, I am at the same point as you are right now. Like, I don't really know what it's going to look like either. I have it in my mind,
Yeah.
but sometimes translating it onto the canvas is a little bit of a different story. So,
Mhm.
it's good though. It's just become really incredible warmth of fire like in your heart to be,
Mm.
first of all, witnessing these people in love. Oh my gosh, these people getting married are so in love. This is the
Yeah.
day that they've been planning for so long. And we've been kind of living a normal life, and then we just quick pop in on this biggest day of their life. And so to listen to the speeches always melt me, and the vows, oh, the vows just like are so sweet always. So it's like you feel like family just being there amongst friends, and at that point it's just like let's create a really cool fun heirloom for you and have a great time doing it.
That's
So
the perfect attitude. That is the attitude you want to have, or like if you're hiring a wedding painter, that's who you want. You want somebody who's like, "Let's do it. I can't wait to see how it turns out." So,
it
as
is,
an artist, I have a couple of questions that I'm
yeah.
really curious about, in terms of like your life as an artist. Okay, because
Mm-hmm.
we run businesses, we gotta support the
Mm-hmm.
family, we gotta work in the wedding industry and handle clients and communication, all the things. But we're artists and we're driven by inspiration, and we're held back by creative blocks and imposter syndrome, and we handle a lot in our hearts. There's some things that I'm curious to know how they're going in your life. Okay, so the first question that I have is, how much time in your day to day is spent like actually painting, preparing paintings, thinking about painting, the creative work, compared to other things like correspondence, administration, bookkeeping, the things that have to be done that are more left brained. How much? What's that balance look like?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I'm a lot kind of like you in that I have a really hard time switching
Mm.
from administrative over into creative work. So I try and block time to either commit to creative work or commit to administrative work. There is a lot more administrative work, correspondence, website update, like all of the back end stuff. There's a lot more of it than I think people realize. Communicating with clients, communicating
Mhm.
with planners. We're booking super far out. Getting the like venues need insurance. Venues need to know what time you're going to be there. Like there's a lot going on back there that makes showing up and painting look so much easier than it is. But yeah, I'd probably say it's about pretty evenly split. On Tuesdays, I try and do administrative work, just lots of communication, stuff like that. I only have a couple hours when my kids go. They're only gone for like 2 hours, so it's not like a ton of time. But then on Wednesdays, say I just commit to getting all my supplies out, like everything's out. Um, and I just sit and I just focus on that. And I can get actually a little bit more lost, and I lose track of time painting a lot more
Mhm.
quickly than I do being on the computer.
Yeah.
I'm pretty aware of how long I've been on the computer, but like all of a sudden 2 or 3 hours of painting have gone by. So I mean, I have been trying to prepare for my paintings a little bit more this year. Struggled with some proportions in the past, and so that's been really my theme for this year. I've had one wedding right at the end of December, and I had one last weekend. And so I just really am focusing on my proportions. So prepping the canvases a little bit more and using more supplies, like when I'm there, like using more um, like grid systems on my phone, like just trying to really get my proportions specifically with people's heads. I have a problem with
Mm.
making people's heads too big. So
Mm.
I'm like that's going to be what I work on this year, is making sure everyone's head is proportionate to their body. And so just that has taken up a little bit more time because I'm kind of imagining more what the composition is going to really look like
Mhm.
before I get there, and then knowing where I want to take my reference photos when I get there. So there is a lot more thinking going on, again, than I think people realize how much your thought and stuff you put into it. But I've done this thing where I've been sending out vision boards to my clients like about a month beforehand. And
Mm-hmm.
it's paintings that I've made and then paintings that inspire me. So I
Mm.
have some of the artists that I really love, that I really look up to, also featured in there. Like, this is kind of like what I would kind of like my paintings to look like in the future. This is kind of what they look like now, but this is what's inspiring me.
Yeah.
And that has helped a ton get a clarifying on what people are expecting their paintings to look like. So that's been going on
That's
too.
so helpful. Most of the people that we serve are not artists. They don't have that eye. They don't, so having these conversations, trying to clarify vision, I imagine it is very helpful. I refer back to my portfolio all the time, or my Instagram account. Like, describe what you're thinking. Okay, I'm thinking kind of something like this: lighting, proportions, angle, like anything you can think of that y'all are trying to have a meeting of the minds on, especially creatively. Showing like a mood board or inspiration board, that must be so helpful for them. That must give them confidence in you, that you're like, oh yeah, she knows what she's doing, and that's what I want. So I love that. You mention having a thing you're working on, and I love this so much. I'm so excited for you to work on this one thing. The proportions of the I do the same thing. Okay. If I do a painting, I did a painting last weekend, and there's something about it that I don't like as an artist. I'm like, it works, it's successful. I finished it at the end of the night. The clients, oh, they loved
Yeah.
it. And I took it home, and I was telling my husband, he's like, it's amazing. What are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, there's something I need to work on. And so I'm trying to, I know what it is. I'm not going to talk about it, of course, because that's a very fresh painting, but it's like there's a stiffness to it. Everything is
Mhm.
right, but there's something that in the style of painting, I painted like the lines too sharp, and so it feels like the room is a box, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to pull away from that. I'm trying to feel like you're in the room and it's alive. And
Mhm.
part of that, I guess I could just go ahead and tell you, part of that is losing the meetings of the walls and the floors, and putting things in the foreground, and kind of, so that's something that I am actively going to work on for the next couple of weddings. And so you mentioning your the heads being a little too big, and that you're gonna take steps to be more precise and to use the grid. And I have done that my whole career. If there's something about a painting that I notice is off, I intentionally I intentionally work on that one thing. It's like when you're like strength training and you notice that your triceps are like they're a little weak compared to the biceps. There's an imbalance there, and you're going to the gym every day. You're like, okay, today I'm going to put a little bit more effort into this part of my body, so that it can be evenly balanced. It can be equally strong. So you can be a stronger in that area as an artist. And that's so mature of you as an artist, and I'm proud of you. And I think it's
Mhm.
important for all of us to kind of take stock in our portfolio, look at what's happening. And if you're unhappy with something, or as an artist you're becoming annoyed by like a consistency in your own style, step back and say, what is bothering me, and then what can I do actively, strength training this one area
Mhm.
of my style, um, moving forward. And it gives you something to look forward to for each wedding, because it's not only am I standing in this empty room having this task before me to paint this scene, and then add the the couple, add the people later on. Like, there's so many things that you have to consider doing, but you also have to add the element of we're going to work on this particular area. That's
Yeah.
very cool.
I think that you nailed it. Like, and I think that no matter how long you've been doing this, like you could be Stephanie Gaffney and still have something that you feel like you need to work on. And I think that it's just good to you know, because that's how you get better. And
Yeah,
everybody wants to get better.
100%. You may have heard me talk about my little side business, my little fine art print shop. I create an original painting, I take a photo of it, and I print it, and I print it again and again and again. I make hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars a year on prints. It's so easy. And I learned everything I know about creating my own prints and printing them in house from Laurie Ann Gonzalez and her Art to Print course. I highly recommend, if you are an artist and you want to make easy money from your original works and even the commission works, you can resell those as prints. I recommend you check out Art to Print. Laurie Ann has a very direct way of teaching, and you are really going to appreciate her no fluff method of giving you information and telling you exactly what you need to do to make making fine art prints in your own studio a breeze. You can check her out online at learn.laurieannart.com. That's learn at LAURIEANNEART.com, or just click the link in the show notes for my affiliate link. Check her out and thank me later. So, okay, wait, I want to ask you, if you do like original work, do you squeeze in, do you ever get tired of painting people and faces and portraits, and do you squeeze in like landscapes and like fun stuff?
Yeah, I have a really love for original work. I don't have a ton of time to do it, but I'm super inspired by like 1960s Palm Springs, like mid-mod architecture. I really love architecture. I feel horrible saying this because I live in Colorado and it's so beautiful. Some people are like, oh, the mountains are so beautiful to paint. I'm like, yeah. But have you seen this new building downtown? I'm like, it looks like an aspen tree. I'm like, that would be so cool to sit on the corner. I love like urban plein air painting. Like, it's one of my favorites. If I see an old rundown gas station, there could be a 14er next to me. And I'm like, oh, but this gas station, that needs to be painted. Like, that's my plein air project. So I am inspired by a lot of architecture. And so when I'm doing original work, I just love like old Route 66 and Beverly Hills, like,
Does it,
stuff.
okay, because you paint a lot of like mountains because you're painting in the Colorado, you know, probably a lot of destination weddings too, because people who don't live near the mountains love the mountains and love the air up there. So do you ever get tired of like painting the mountains in the background?
I do. I say that because people come from so far to see how beautiful these mountains are. And I'm like I was born and raised in Golden, Colorado, which is so gorgeous. It is 40 minutes to get up to Silverthorne, 40 minutes to get into Boulder, like anywhere. Like, it's so beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And I love to hike and I love to do that stuff. But I just, I love the colors of the mountains because the mountains are always changing. They have this really cool deep blue, purple tone to them, but in the golden hour, they were like, you know, just so cool. Like, they're always different. And I really love that. Like, even though I'm painting the same mountains and landscapes and stuff, because of all the lighting and the air and that elevation, like, it's always different, which is so refreshing. I really love that. But yeah, I like when people are getting married inside or in downtown in the city. Those are some of my favorites, just because they're a little, you know, mixing it up.
I love that. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great that we have a love that is different from than our day-to-day scenery. You know, that it kind of keeps things fresh. That's wonderful. I want to know if it's something that you're interested in talking about, how being a live wedding painter has affected your business or like your income, because you were in the medical profession and you took some time off, and then so you weren't working, so the income changed dramatically, I imagine. But like, you know, in terms of being an artist and selling a service, selling your work, how has that, how am I trying to say this? I'm not trying to say how much money you make, girl. Like, that's not that.
I get what you're asking. I can answer.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. So at first, the pursuit was certainly just to replace the income that maybe I had lost from my regular 9 to 5, just with having a kid and wanting to make sure that I mean, honestly, in this economy, you need it. And so at first I was like, that would be great. Like, if I could just, I really didn't want to make any more than that. And I was just making a very normal, average living, was not shooting for anything. Last year, about midway through the year, I was like, oh my goodness, I've passed that. But I was so busy just focusing on making sure that I'm getting all of these people the best that they could have that I wasn't really paying attention to it. And so I was like telling my husband, I'm like, I'm going to smoke my goal. Like, I'm not even going to like pass it. Like, I'm going to smoke this thing out of the water, which is crazy. And I mean, I never saw that coming. I really didn't. I was like just wanting to just fill a gap that was lost. Also, just doing something that I love and providing for my family and feeling balanced with that. And then just putting that so much, and really the work was irrelevant. Like I loved doing this so much that whatever work I had to do to get it going or to do this or that, it was like so irrelevant. Like no problem. Like that's part of, like it never was a burden. It never was a problem. I was so just like, let's just do this. Like and we're going to have a good time with it. And so the fact that it has come into something that I'm able to help provide for my family and, it is such a blessing. Like it's just beyond. I'm so humbled and so grateful to be able to do this at all. Like if I wasn't getting paid for it, I probably would still do it. But I
Yeah,
mean,
same.
yeah, it's just, it's very, very nice
That's
to be able
wonderful.
to do
And
that.
you did mention like you had a really booming year last year, and then this year you are approaching the same number, but also good with not hitting the same number of jobs, because it is a lot. And toward the end of the year, there's a sense of burnout, like oh, it's a lot of work. And so I guess it must feel nice to, even if you do step back, like even if the income isn't as big as last year, you still feel like, oh yeah, this is the sweet spot. Do you feel that way? I feel that way sometimes.
Very much so. Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like last year was amazing. I had a great time. I said yes to so many things, and it
Mhm.
really broadened the horizon and opened up so many new opportunities. And I loved to be able to have the support system even to be able to do that, to go and do. Um, but yeah, I bumped my prices up a little bit and scaled back just a little. I've got two little boys, they're 4 and 2. And so our hands and our hearts are full with them all of the time. So, yes, I'm taking about 15 less weddings, unless I get like some last minute bookings, which I always struggle with. I was like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not really doing anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I did the same thing.
oh, it's so bad. Why do we do this to ourselves? But anyway, so I mean, I'm booked, but I have a heart for my last minute brides. So yeah, I feel comfortable with where I am and what I'm doing next year, and just again finding that harmony of being a
Mhm.
mom and enjoying your job and providing for your family and making sure everyone's having a really good experience. Just you know, a little less is allowing me to give a little more to everything else.
Mhm. I love that for you. I love that you've reached this point in 4 years. It's beautiful. That makes me so happy. Would you say that you are more of an artist or more of a business owner? If you were to kind of describe like the role you play in your business, which one comes first?
I would definitely say artist. I think that that's truly my fire, my passion. I can learn a business. I mean, I can do it. I can really learn it, but then the minute I've learned it, it's like, thank goodness for my honey book.
Yeah. I know. Thank
Oh,
goodness for HoneyBook, right?
I know. Yeah, for real. Like that keeps my life on track. I don't know. I don't know how people do it without at least some kind of CRM. But yeah, I would definitely say artist. That is tough if you're not business inclined. You almost gotta learn to be business inclined for those first few years. You've got to
Yes.
know. You gotta learn. Like even if it's not fun and if it's painful, that is a very critical. I always thought that like I'm planning for today, I'm preparing for today, but I also am planning for tomorrow. Like this is something that, we're going to do. And I feel like some people get so caught up in what they're doing just today. They haven't had really time to think about also tomorrow. And that is a business mindset that's worth pursuing and worth learning is.
Yeah, because a lot of the work that we do is non-billable, and it's in the shadows. It's behind closed doors, behind the curtain. The live painting, the painting at the wedding is like what, 25% of the work or something like that, maybe 50, depending on how how hard you work in the shadows. But it is, yeah, like you said, I mean, it is so it's a lot of work. And so but if you want to get the word out, if you want to book weddings, if you want to tell people, marketing, social media marketing, you got to get the hang of it. I used to be so scared. I mean, terrified to bring oil paints to a wedding or an event that I was painting at, until I realized that Gamblin has me covered with all of the mediums, the paint thinner, the varnish, the whole gambit. I love using Gamsol as an odorless paint thinner. Okay, this is what I use to wash my brushes to thin the paint. I use a big jug of that to slow the drying time. If I'm trying to finish a painting and layer and do all of that, I use Galkid. It's a very thick medium that I love to use with my oil paints. And let's say it's very dry, it's a very hot and dry environment. I love to slow the drying time with refined linseed oil. This is my medium of choice for my oil paints. And when the painting is dry and I'm ready to send it off to the client, I varnish it with Gamvar, high gloss. That's my preference. And Gamblin has you covered with your preference as well. You can visit their website, www.gamblincolors.com. That's spelled GAMBLIN colors.com, or you can click the link in the show notes to shop my preference for oil painting mediums. Check them out and thank me later. So with that said, what can you describe your perfect day?
My perfect day. Okay. Well, it really starts with a perfect night. My children slept all night long. That's we're off to a great start if we're there.
Yeah.
Our children slept all night long. And then I get a nice cup of coffee. I just like plain coffee with some creamer, but it's not too bitter. Just a good cup of coffee. Then, I don't know, it's nice outside, not too cold, not too hot. It's just like a nice, comfortable temperature so we can go for a walk, or my kids are obsessed with rocks. So we'll go get rocks and then come home, and then they take a 2-hour nap so that I can relax. And they both sleep the full time. And then they wake up and maybe we play some more, do some arts and crafts, make dinner. Husband comes home, spend the evening with him. And maybe somewhere within there I get a booking, like someone closes on their booking, like they sign their contract and we've had our conversations and their date is on the schedule.
Yeah.
That sounds perfect to me.
What a beautiful day. And I love as a mom, I love that you described a day with your family on a really nice weather day outside with your kids. Like, and everybody sleeps like that.
And everyone's healthy.
And everybody's healthy. That is beautiful. Aw.
Sounds perfect to me.
You've
I want to
completely
know your
thrown me
answer.
off. I thought you were going to say, like, I wake up and I paint for 2 hours and then my son brings me coffee and breakfast. And then, like I wasn't expecting not a moment in the studio. Like that is so beautiful. As like a person, I've been thinking a lot about what I want as a person and what kind of legacy I want to leave, and like what people are going to say at your funeral. And do I want people to say she was such a talented artist? She made all this money and she had these businesses and she had a great podcast. Like nobody, that's not what they're going to say. Like, I don't want them to say that. I want them to talk about how I touched their lives, and especially my children. And that informs, how you look at your day and your perfect day. And it's just, I can relate to what you described so much. It's beautiful. How would I?
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to know yours.
I wake up and I go to the studio. No, I'm just kidding.
Nobody bothers me for 4 hours.
Yeah, definitely a beautiful weather, or completely overcast and stormy, but now that I have 2 new puppies, don't get me started. Now that we have puppies, anytime it's raining, I'm like, oh my gosh, the in and the out is going to bring in mud. And so I'm,
the wiping of the feet. They're wiping their feet every time.
Yeah. So maybe a beautiful day, maybe a sunny day. with dry dirt. Um, oh man, everybody naps. Yeah, the sun is shining. Everybody comes in. Everybody's in a good mood and happy, and good food, good meals. Maybe I do cook a
Mm,
meal, and everybody likes it. And I do get to. I don't want to say leave my house, but I do get some time to myself, a few hours to do something that I need to do. That just kind of like checks off, like I feel in terms of whether it's a painting or going to a coffee shop and answering emails or, like sitting in here and recording a podcast episode. This is something that I think about when I'm in carpool. It's something I think about, like I'm ready to do that thing, that task. I'm looking forward to doing that. And every little thing moves the needle. And so it's not necessarily a full day in the studio painting. Those are lovely as well. But yeah, there's something about just kind of getting away from the kids to achieve a little thing and
yeah.
then go cook dinner. Yeah.
I fully resonate with that too. Like
Mhm.
if it's been a while since I've done something to make myself feel productive, either in my business, in my paintings, just something, it starts to wear me down. And like that yeah, completing some paintings or ticking something off that makes me feel productive as more than just being a mom, that is really fuels my fire too. Like that is critical. That's important.
Oh,
It's easy to
that's
get
so
lost in that.
yeah. Yeah. We have such a beautiful vocation. And I talk about this a lot on the podcast, and I love having this conversation with other women who are balancing the pull, like the inherent pull to be present and to nurture and to uplift like the kids and the family and do the things like making dinner, whether you like to cook or not, like provide, like thinking about the meal and then providing for your kids like that. Like that's something we think about a lot and we want to do and we need to do. But there's also the artist, the drive of the artist
Mm-hmm.
wanting to go out. Like for me, it's going out and plein air painting.
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing I'm looking forward to at the next wedding. When I show up and I'm looking at a blank canvas, it's like, okay, how am I going to work on that thing that I need to work on in this context of this one painting? I think about that all the time. Like I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I look outside and I think about how I would mix that green on that leaf right there. It's
I
just,
think about that
do
too.
you do that too?
Yes. I'll be
Because
like staring at I'll be staring at something like really peculiar. I'm like, oh my gosh, that just has the coolest undertone in it. I think there's like some Payne's gray in there somewhere, like for no
yes.
reason. That's
Yeah. So
funny.
that's, yeah, like balancing those two just really innate part of your soul, part of your makeup, your genetic makeup, like those two desires it's a challenge and fun. It's fun to get to do a little bit of each of those things.
Definitely.
So that's beautiful. Um, okay, so that let's take a sip of coffee. Are you still using cheap art supplies? Look, you don't have to tell me, but if you want to level up, you have to use better supplies. Come on, let's invest a little. I've been using Rosemary and Company for my paintbrushes for the past 5 years or so, and I have never thrown away one of these brushes. The quality is unmatched, and they're like reasonably priced. I hate to say it, but they're the best. So I love a long handled paintbrush. Okay. I love a hog hair or an ivory, which is kind of a mixed bristle hair. And Rosemary and Company, they have like so many options. So I would check them out. The website is www.rosemaryandco.com. That's Rosemary spelled Rosemary and co.com. Or you can just click the link in my show notes and it'll take you directly to my personal wish list. It's all the brushes that I use and recommend. So check them out and thank me later.
Great. I love those, by the way. I bought some of your rosemary brushes.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yay!
they haven't come yet, but I'm excited to try them. I
I
struggle with
love
brushes.
them. Do you? What do you mean you
Mm-hmm.
struggle with brushes?
I'm
What
like
does that
just
mean?
really hard on them. Like I don't take good care of them, so a lot of it's my
Mm,
fault. But I just, especially learning like oil painting, like it was so easy to clean them with acrylics. Like just making sure you're like soap and water, but with my oils, like I bought like a conditioner, and like, so I'm like soaping them and conditioning them and
Mm,
like laying them flat and just taking better care of them.
yeah.
But then I noticed that like my bristles start to get shorter and shorter. Like all of a sudden I have like barely any bristle left. Like I use a zero flat to do my composition sketching. The other day I
Mm,
was looking at it. I'm like, this thing has come down into like a little nub. Like, when did
yeah.
this happen? Like, all my bristles are gone. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe that's normal, but
That's normal for other brushes, but rosemary, I have had the same brushes. Some of them are in rough shape, but I buy more, but I don't need to, like I have used the same brushes for years and they hold up, man. They hold up. And I usually use like a hog hair or an ivory. The ivories are like a mixed texture, it's not as kind of as a hog, but it's
yeah.
not. It holds the paint even with acrylics, because acrylics, are lighter. Oils you have to
Mm-hmm.
light. You need something of substance to hold the paint and put it on there, and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I like them. I hope you like them. Did you get some?
Yeah.
You got some of the ivory ones on my
Yeah, I
my
just
little
got
kit.
whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You
So
just
I'm
got
excited
whatever,
for that.
whatever I
Yeah.
say.
I just like, this looks fine. Click. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see your new like updated list too for the class this year and with
Yeah.
oils. And I actually want to talk to you about that maybe when we're at layover, about just how your experience is going
Oh my
with
gosh,
oils and stuff.
I
So
can't wait.
we'll put a pin in that one.
I love that. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that in my workshop. I'm going to be using oils. I know a lot of people use acrylics, but it's the same colors. But I'm going to be using oils because we're painting outside. We're doing a plein air workshop,
Ooh, I
and
love that.
yes. So bring your oils,
So
and I'm actually going to bring anybody listening. I'm not going to say because everybody's listening, and we still have time. But I'm bringing something that we can use, that we can try, that for something in the oil department, that a brand that I really like, that's really expensive, but I'm in love with it. I've tried other brands, and this one I'm like, it's good quality, man. You got to give. I'm
I'm
giving the people
excited.
what
I'm
they
so excited
need.
to
Yeah.
know. Give the people what they want. But yeah, I'm
Give the
so excited.
I love it. Yeah, me too. I'm excited about layover too. That's
Oh,
right around
I'm
the corner.
stoked. I
I was
know. 2 weeks
I,
from today.
I was looking, my dear husband, we both came back to work 2 weeks into the month, which is tough for business owners because we had family vacations and things. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. But I was showing him my calendar. I said, "Okay, you need to send me when you have trials or when you have like a day where I know you need to be I know I can't get in touch with you that day, and you can't pick up the kids if like we need to sync up a little bit." And then I was like, okay. And here's an overview of my month. I have 3 weddings this coming weekend. And then I will be out of town the last week of January. And in the past, when he would have been like, oh, really? That's a lot of time. That's a lot of you're gone time.
Mm-hmm.
He looked at it and was like, "Oh, you're gonna have so much fun at that thing." I thought that was
Mm.
so sweet. That was so
That
sweet,
is.
and I am
I
gonna
love
have so
that.
much
Yeah,
fun.
it's going to be a really, really an awesome treat.
Yeah, and then to see
Well,
everyone in person, this is great.
oh my gosh. I'm literally like, I'm just geeking out just thinking about it. We're going to have the best time.
What? Let me let me think about this question. You talked about the Wedding Painter's Blueprint earlier in the conversation, which I really love. Like we dove right into it. But was there anything about the course as a whole that surprised you? Something you weren't expecting?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I was surprised at how much information you were able to get into such a condensed amount of time. Like it, I know we all love to be chatty, but ultimately, like it was down to it. Like it was very much so step A, step B, like these are your steps. And we're going to start here. You started at the foundation so well. And then those important, like maybe not quite so fun things, then we were stacking up the more fun things on top of that. But we had this really solid foundation. So for the amount of time that it is, the information is so enhanced and so condensed, but in a very digestible kind of way that you're really maximizing your time, which is so important, especially as a live painter. We just don't have time on site,
Mm.
in the office. We don't have time. And so to have that information so accessible, so digestible, and then to, again, if maybe you didn't quite fully get anything, you can come back to it later. I've done
Mm-hmm.
that so many times throughout, like just having that lifetime access, like, okay, I'm going to put a marker on this. We're moving on, but I'm going to circle back to this.
Yeah.
And then if something happens in real life experience, it's like, oh, I pinned that in my course. Like, let me go back and review like what maybe the course talked about. What did I do wrong? This, and that. And so you're able to just match it up, but it's so easy to find. So
Yeah.
yes, that did surprise me. I wasn't expecting to learn quite so much.
Oh, that's so exciting. And then you did. I'm glad. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm glad that it came across in because it does feel kind of like a fire hose a little bit. Like it is like, okay, guys, here's everything I know in 10 years, in 10 weeks. And in the past, it's been 10 weeks, but based on a lot of feedback from this because I take surveys and student feedback very seriously. Um,
Mhm.
a lot of feedback was like, it's a lot. And can we have another implementation week? I currently have 2 implementation weeks that break up. There's 8 modules, and then every 3 modules, there's a break, a week where there is no new content, but we still meet, and so it gives you we still meet live for the critiques and the live Q&As and the conversations that happen live, but it gives you a week to like catch up on like assignments, because there are assignments as well.
Mhm.
So I extended it. It's now 12 weeks, but there's more that happens in the introductory week. I'm going to be more involved in the aiding and setting up the small group critiques, and then we're going to kind of give you a little bit more time, because it is a lot, and I'm adding more assignments.
I think that is awesome. No, I know that you're like, oh my gosh. No, that's great. I think that the extra implementation week is going to be um, fantastic. Everyone, we definitely all needed more time together. In my first week, we kept meeting like 2 weeks afterwards just to like
Uh-huh.
fully digest everything. So that seems very natural that you would extend it like that, because it just
Okay.
is so much information, especially if you want to be a really good life painter. Like if you want to be a reputable and the best, it takes time to learn all these things and to
Mm-hmm.
digest all these things. So I think that is a great, excellent idea.
Thank
Very
you for that. That's very validating, because I was like, okay,
good.
here we go. So you've mentioned ways in which the course helped prepare you, because you were able to beef up your contract, and then you've been able to help other vendors that you've seen in need of, like, hey, no, here's a little information here. Let me help you, which is
Mhm.
so cool. I'm sure now she thinks this girl knows what she's talking about. Like, she's a pro. And I
Yes.
love that you had that information without even having to go through a bad experience with like
Mhm.
that's exactly what I wanted to happen. But how has it helped? How has the course helped like propel you? Because you did mention that your goal was to maybe jump a year ahead in terms of preparation and knowledge, but in truth, it's, you said more like 2 or 3 years further along in your career than maybe you would have gotten on your own. What are some ways that the course helped propel you in that way?
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's unteachable quality, but really it can be taught. Some people are like, either you got it or you don't. But it's the underlying theme of professionalism, and it's how to be um, somebody that somebody wants to work with. And a lot of the times it's just being knowledgeable, clear, and professional, and building a good reputation. And that's hard to teach somebody, but you can point somebody in the right direction. And I think a lot of that is touched on in the blueprint. Like, just, are you super easy to work with? Are you making this experience enjoyable for them? Are you giving them a hard time? Are you speaking out of turn? Are you just not really knowing your place? Like, especially when we follow you to the wedding, to and from, what's in your bag? Are you remembering everything? Are you keeping it cool when something goes wrong? Those are things that are like real life experience that you can learn on your own, but you can also find your way through it a little bit quicker if you have those like bullet points,
Mm.
and how to talk professionally and how to look professional, and the importance of clear headshots and a good website, and like all of these things that present. And yes, it takes a little investing, and people can be scared to start investing because you don't have anything to invest. Like, you're like, how
Mhm.
am I supposed to get started with this when I'm starting from scratch? But so much of that goes a really, really long way, especially when it comes to having clear headshots and having a good website. And I know that you just talked with Stephanie about SEOs. Like all of that stuff that goes behind it really does translate into the foreground.
That's so true. That's so true. I'm glad that that helped you, because again, it was something that I learned like way later. I was doing the job and my back end was completely out of whack. Like my bookkeeping was completely disorganized. My client experience, I had not even thought about that. Like the journey that the clients are going on, I was literally just answering emails and keeping up and like, oh, sorry, it's been 2 weeks since you heard from me. Or I was emailing them relentlessly, not getting any sort of sense of sales tactics or personal boundaries, or understanding the buyer type, and what, if whether they needed somebody to be very emotional about the selling process, or whether they needed somebody to just give information. Like it takes a lot of growth and maturity, and so yeah, I'm glad that you took that and you ran with it, because like I said, you are doing so well. I see your website is incredibly classy.
Oh,
You have fully booked calendar. Your Instagram is popping, and you're just a delight in the industry. It's just I'm proud of you.
oh, thank you,
What is
Stephanie.
You're very welcome. What is one thing that you wish new live wedding painters or artists who are like, I want to try this, like I want to get
Hmm.
like you were 4 years ago? What
Yeah.
is something that you think they should know about the industry or the job itself?
I think the biggest thing would be it's scary. Like you might
Yep.
feel scared, and then at some point the painting might be not working. You can't figure something out, and so you start to feel like a little panicked, like this is not going well, and
Mhm.
everybody's watching me. It's
Yeah.
just have faith in yourself. Take a breath. Take a step back if you need to. Take a little walk and enjoy the scenery where you are, because you are talented enough. If you think that you can do this, if you even have the inkling that you can do this, you probably can. And that's because a lot of people could look at it and say like there's no way. There's no
Yeah.
way I could ever do that. And it's like, well, it's not for everybody. But if you're
Mhm.
feeling like you can, then just have faith in yourself. You probably can. You probably just have to give it a couple more times. You're going to fail. You're going to have bad paintings. You're going to have times that you feel like crying. And just, that's okay. You're going to just feel it. Just feel it anyway. And just keep going. Like, I think so many painters we're such a sensitive breed that when you're displaying these arts, it really is a piece of you, and if you're putting it out there for everybody to see and it's not being well received, it can really hurt you. But you will find the people who appreciate it, and you will find the people who want to work with you. So just keep navigating through there, keep improving on yourself, practice as
Mhm.
much as you can, and just keep going. Like, just look further, and just don't stop.
Yeah, all of the fears that you're feeling, we all experience. Imposter syndrome. If you don't feel imposter syndrome, it's going to get boring real fast. Imposter
Mm-hmm.
syndrome is a good thing. It's healthy. And you shouldn't be afraid of that. And you can do it. Don't like succumb to this feeling of, oh, I shouldn't be here, and then leave and then don't do it again, especially if you really enjoy it. Especially if people are asking you to do it, these are good signs. This is good data that you're heading in the right direction. So that's wonderful, wonderful advice.
Definitely.
Olivia, what is your favorite part of the job?
Oh, my favorite part of the job is really becoming friends with my couples. Like it's so fun to find out what's important to them in their marriage, in their love, and what makes their love story special and unique, and the path that they've taken to get there. I just love doing that. And then when the day's there, just watching these two people who love each other so much and care about each other so much, and they're so hopeful for their future, and like it just really does become, most people, book a year to 6 months of, I start to follow them on Instagram and I get to see their
Yeah.
engagement photos and just watching their life and their love, and then getting to take a little piece of that, having a live painting. That painting is like this silent witness to the event. Like it was something that was there. It was something that was present when you got married, when you said your vows. And now it hangs on your wall as like a silent reminder of that, like this thing was there. So you don't get to take too many tangible things home from your wedding. You invest so much and you're left with very little to hold. But not a painting. These paintings are just were impacted by the environment, they were impacted by the atmosphere, the energy. You're feeling that energy, and that energy is going on to the painting or the colors that you choose. It's all because of the way that the day was.
Mm.
So that is something that I love, is just knowing these people and feeling what they're feeling and trying to put it onto something. It's like capturing an emotion, like just working to make sure that I have what they're feeling on this canvas that they can touch and that they can hold. So
Yeah.
that's, sorry, that was a long answer.
No, it's beautiful. It sounds like your why. Is that your why?
Yeah, definitely. I just love these people. Like they're just having the best time, and they're just, I just like, I like them.
You're so sweet. I love it. That's a great service provider, because that means you put the people first, and their needs and their expectations and their joy. I love that. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. You're so wonderful. I'm so happy to know you, and I'm always honored to see a student sign up, like to see an artist sign up for the course, who I recognize, who I know in the industry, and who I'm like talk about imposter syndrome. Sometimes I'll see a student's name sign up and I'm like, damn, really? They look like they're killing it. What can I teach them? And so I think that's so wonderful. And I'm so glad you're part of the community. Where can people follow you and see your beautiful work and see your website?
Yes, thank you. I'm on Instagram mostly. I actually had a goal this year to be more present on TikTok, but I don't know if that's worth investing in right now. So I guess
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see about what happens there. But I'm on Instagram at Olivia Andruss Artistry. My website is the Denver Wedding Painter, or denverweddingpainter.com. That's also my email if you want to email me. But I love to DM on Instagram. Don't feel like you can't message me. I always check them. So that's where you can get in touch with me.
And if you are an artist and you want to follow Olivia, like she said, she likes to DM, but also she'll follow you back, and you're joining the community. Everybody when we follow each other, we get to know each other. If you're in the industry, we can recommend each other. You support each other. Things that happen in personal life. We talked a lot today about, your vocation and your life as a wife and a mother. We talked about how being a live wedding painter kind of works into that life, and how, you only have like 2 hours a couple days a week to do the admin and the business stuff and the communications and everything. And then, you serve, even though you like to paint more urban scenes, like you serve your clients with those mountain landscapes so well.
Thank you. I felt like I didn't get to ask you enough questions.
Ooh, do you have a burning question you want to ask me real fast?
What's your favorite part of the job?
um, okay. Um, I love I love the painting part. I really do. You were talking about the nerves that you feel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't I I don't want to say I don't feel nerves because I'm just so good. It's like the nerve, the heart, the anticipation is more like an adrenaline rush. It's like decision, like a bunch of decisions. Even if I'm prepared and I know what the scene, like I can kind of visualize the painting when it's done. When I show up, there's a lot of decisions that need to be made, and then planning the composition. It's like it's simple but not easy. Some things are like the idea is simple, but like doing it is hard. And so it's simple in terms of like forming the composition and then applying the paint and then building the canvas, building the painting itself. Each of those pieces, it's like that's what I move on to the next thing. And I get like hung up when I'm doing portraits, and if it's not like coming out easily, then I kind of stiffen up a little bit. But I'm going very long-winded in my answer, but
No, you're perfect.
I love the painting part. I do love communicating with clients because it's easy for me to be excited and to make it feel like it should be an easy decision to hire me. So if you're really stressing about investing and making the decision to book, like I want to take that stress away from you and say, hey, spend the money on the bar, spend the money on the photographer you really want. Like, don't worry. I'm a lanyap. I'm extra.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like an extra vendor. You don't need me there to get married. So if it is causing discomfort or stress, like if you feel like you may regret like this, have buyer's remorse, and don't do it. I'll make that easy for you. Don't do it. And I'll recommend other people. I'll recommend, I literally just take that. And it's a really good sales tactic because most people are like, no, I really want you.
Yeah.
I'll get over it.
Yeah.
But I have received messages like, oh, thank you. I needed to hear that. I really want you, but maybe we'll do a commission after. Maybe, or I never hear from them again, but at least their interaction with me has been like, it has ended on a relief and a positive note, and so that's fun. Also being playing a small role in the process. Planning a wedding should be fun and stress-free, even though it's not.
No,
but that's my
great.
favorite part.
Perfect.
My least favorite part is, do you want to know my least favorite part?
Yes, I do actually.
My least favorite part is like packaging. When the job, like when it's dry, it's, they're all the same. But when the job is done and the painting is dry, but it takes a couple of weeks, like the excitement has dimmed, like it's not, you want to give it to them then because they're excited the most right then and there at the end of the wedding. But because the paintings take a while to dry, you kind of have to hang on to it a little bit. And so when you do send it, they're excited, but they're like waiting for it. And then the job is done, it's paid for. And so it's like, and then it's physically like, you got to package that thing. Like it's a lot of work and it's expensive. And I don't know. It's stressful to ship a painting. It's stressful to know it's out there for a couple of days before it gets there.
Every single time.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, please, Lord. And so, I'm with you on that one. That's a perfect answer. It's brutal.
I never, how I know I never wanted to have a podcast. I never wanted to teach, but every conversation I had with somebody where I was like answering a question or like providing any sort of, oh, here's what I do. At the end of it always went like an hour long, and I always gave way too much information, and they were so grateful. It was something that they asked for one thing, but I gave them 3 other things, and they were like, oh my God. And then I got off the call and I was like jazzed. I'm jazzed after a conversation on the podcast. I love the live Q&As that we do in the course. I love everybody meeting up together and us having conversations, but then I can share anecdote, like the course, the modules. I'm going to be talking about this in other episodes. So if anyone wants to tune out now, you can, but the modules are instruction and information. And then the live calls, that's where I share more specific anecdotes, and then people can ask like specific questions, and especially about the art, especially about how do you do this? And, what are you thinking? And what's that kind of process kind of thing. I love it. I can't. Yeah. Anyway, I can't wait to see you during the course this year.
I mean, I feel exactly the same. Like, and then someone would ask a question that you wouldn't have thought to ask, and then the
Mm,
answer is like, "Oh,
yeah.
brilliant!" Like, of course. So you just get so much just from being all together.
Yeah, it
So I'm
multiplies. It multiplies the knowledge, the inspiration, the answers. Even if you show up every week and you never ask a question, you're going to receive answers and to questions that you are like, oh, yeah, that's a good question.
That's how
I
I
love
was
it.
last year. I was like a fly
Hmm.
on the wall. I didn't join a critique group, but I tuned in for every live session Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. Yeah, and I just was like, gosh, this group of kids are just asking so many good questions. Like, I wouldn't have thought to ask some of these questions. So it's just so good to have a joining of minds.
Yeah, I love it. And I really, really loved this conversation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with
I
me.
I'm honored every time. Just getting to chat with you, it's so refreshing. You're doing such a good job, and I'm proud of you. So
Thank
thank
you.
you for having me. I mean,
You're
you're
welcome.
doing great, and I'm so excited for the next class of students that are going to come in and learn and enhance the community even further. Every year they're getting better. So excited to see what this year comes up with.
Oh, me too. I can't wait to see you live on the Zoom calls every week. And I can't wait to see the work that you create this year. I'm stoked for you. Thanks,
Thank
Olivia.
you. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day and good luck at your next wedding.
Thank
Thank you for tuning in and joining us on this journey of artistic exploration, entrepreneurial growth, and personal development. Remember, you have the power to create a life that is both fulfilled and balanced. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe to The Composed Artist on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And don't forget to leave us a review. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more creatives like you. Until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep pursuing that composed life. You got this. Okay, I'm gonna take a little coffee break.
Okay, me too
What
then.
kind of are you drinking coffee?
Yes. Are you?
Always. Am I drinking coffee? Yeah, I am drinking my second cup of the day, and then I'll probably have another one at like 4. I'm having another conversation. We're recording another episode with another live painter, and I'm gonna need a cup of coffee for that one too.
Mine's actually gotten so bad I've switched to half calf so I can have more throughout the day. So I'm like, I have a
That's
half calf in the morning and then a second
mhm.
half calf and then like a third, like all day long.
That is so
Really
smart. I should do that. I'm gonna do that because
I'm
I
just
drink
like,
community. Like Cece's coffee is big in Louisiana for sure,
mhm.
and I love C. I mean, I love all the like local stuff here.
Yeah.
But if I'm drinking in my house in the Keurig, it's Cece's, and they do
Yeah.
have a good half calf. That's what I drink when I'm pregnant.